Hi, everybody, and welcome along to the Phoenix Way. My name is Faisal Khan, one of the oldest faces of Luton Phoenix Football Club, and delighted and privileged to be joined by elder brother and manager of Luton Phoenix Football Club, Mr. Asif Khan. Asif, how you doing, bruv?
Hi, how about you?
Still upset after last night's events at Wembley Stadium, which is obviously we're going to get something into. But before we do, everybody out there, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Social media platforms are in the description below. If you want to know more about our football club, just hit that subscribe button and make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you fancy a little laugh and a giggle, check out Asif's uploads on our TikTok account as well. Always finding these little mystery videos that we never seem to point out as the matches are going on. So that's how you know he's a proper football manager, because he's literally watching every second of it. It's been a while since we've done an episode, Asif. This is episode 4 of the Phoenix Way. And it's a bit unfortunate that the first episode back is based on England losing last night's or Sunday night's Euro 2020 final. Now, we know England lost on penalties, but you have to look at the game in a whole. You've been a manager now for nearly 4 years. What do you think was the reason why England couldn't get over the finishing line?
Italy, I think they were just a really good team. I think scoring as early as we did was probably the worst thing that could have happened to us, because after about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, we just went into a shell. Too defensive minded. I mean, we had 2 shots on target the whole game. So, I mean, that goes to sum it up. And then penalties, isn't it? It's a lottery. Our record isn't great. You know, people are going to point their fingers and say, why was this person taking penalties? Why was that person taking penalties? But, you know, who knows if the other people that were, you know, Grealish and Sterling, if they took penalties, they would have scored. So massive credit to them for stepping up and taking the penalties. It's unfortunate the backlash they're getting, but listen, we got to a final. We got to a World Cup semi-final, a Euros final. So we're going in the right direction.
Would you say that the tournament was a success for England, given the fact that they played 6 of their 7 games at home at Wembley, and that they got to the final and lost to a team that never appeared in the World Cup 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think it is a massive success, because the path to the final was it's probably as easy as not easy, but if you wanted to pick a path, then that would be the path that you would have picked. Obviously, Germany was probably the best team that we faced, but they're not all that these days. But like England's problem in major cups has been against these teams. I mean, we went out to Iceland 2 years ago. Iceland are not like a top team. Went out to Croatia. As good as they are, they're not like a Brazil or a Spain at their peak. So I think we only conceded 1 goal up until the semi-final. We conceded a goal in the semi-final. That's our first goal. Overall, we never lost a game in the whole of the tournament. We lost on penalties and won, but in the 90 minutes in the extra time, we were still undefeated. So, yeah, I think it's a massive success. After everything this country's been through over the last 18 months, brought a bit of joy to the country, and yeah, but it's unfortunate to lose, obviously.
Yeah. Obviously, first of all, many congratulations to Italy, a country revitalized under Roberto Mancini. I think overall, not only did the best team win, but the best team overall in the tournament won. From start to finish, they were the most entertaining team to watch. As for England, a massive success, because you look at some of the squads England have had in the past, they've got nowhere near as close as this current squad did. I like what Gareth Southgate's done. There's a lot of togetherness in the squad, but his decisions, I personally think that Italian team yesterday, one thing that we know, when you look at football as a whole, when you talk about Italians, they're tough to break down. They're the most, it's uncomfortable playing against Italy because they defend so well. The midfield three of Berardi, Jorginho and Verratti were brilliant throughout the whole tournament. And I think that for England to score in the second minute against Italy and make it very difficult in the first half, as England did, I think that was a perfect opportunity for England to go out there and perhaps kill Italy off. I don't think England showed much desire to get another goal. I think Southgate played for penalties once Italy got an equaliser. I don't want to, slag Gareth Southgate off, but I think the difference between both managers was that Southgate's substitutions, every single one of them was questionable. And I remember in the second half, 5 minutes into the second half, Mancini seen something he didn't like, it made the sub straight away. And then from then on, Insigne, Chiesa, they just stepped it up a level. And once they got that equaliser, you kind of knew that you can only see this going one way, whether that was in normal time, extra time, or via a penalty shootout. I think to bring on Rashford and Sancho with 1 minute to play in extra time, and I know a lot of people praise Bonucci and Chiellini, but they're not the youngest of defenders. Saka run at Chiellini once, and Chiellini's answer was to throw him on the floor. If you'd have brought a Rashford on or a Sancho on earlier, fresh legs, fast, quick players, England could have exploited that defence. Bear in mind Emerson, he's their third, he's Chelsea's third left back choice. Di Lorenzo, plays for Roma, no disrespect. Their best defender in the tournament, Spinazzola, was injured wasn't able to play in the semis and in the final. So I think fair play to England for getting to the final. Again, this England team has come a long way, but I think it's their best opportunity in terms of winning the trophy. I think this opportunity was a lot more better than 2018, considering the fact that the final was on home soil.
I think that's the only criticism for me, though, for Southgate. It's like his substitutions, they all almost seem pre-planned. Like he always has his players that he's taken off. Like I would never have taken Declan Rice off yesterday out of the two, him and Phillips, because I thought Declan Rice was probably one of our best players in that game. He carried the ball well, he broke up the play, and he can strike a ball as well. So he probably would have done a job in the penalties as well. But again, what he said about Mancini was ruthless with his substitutions. He took off arguably three of his best players. He took Immobile off, Insigne off, and he took Verratti off. Whereas we wait too long to make these substitutions, and I didn't get that where he took off Kyle Walker and Henderson, especially with only a minute. There's about 2 minutes to go. Out of corner, you take off two players. We could have conceded there, but listen, hindsight's a great thing. But unfortunately, we lost on penalties. So
what else I don't get right with Gareth Southgate is, and again, I think he's done a very good job. A semi-final of a World Cup and a final of a European Championship. But the word that I've heard a lot today is pragmatic. Why are we not getting the best out of players such as Mason Mount, who I didn't think had a good tournament? Jack Grealish, every time he come on, performed very well. Italy had one game plan, put the frighteners on him, and it worked. Unfortunately, why was Southgate not more adventurous? Why did Southgate not look at the?
You can flip that and say, like, look at Sterling. Sterling didn't have a good season, and he played. He was probably one of our best players in the tournament. Kyle Walker again is another player. Some people were questioning if he should be in the squad, and again, he's probably been one of our best players. Declan Rice, Luke Shaw, he's had a good season for Man United, but he had a great tournament for England. So he did get, good out of a lot of the players. Harry Kane yesterday, after them 2 minutes, 3-4 minutes, he went missing again.
Yeah. There's a stat with Harry Kane in major finals. 4 major finals, 0 shots on target, 0 goals scored. I know Harry.
He didn't have a single touch in the penalty box, and that for me is a big thing. You're a striker, you need to be touching the ball in the penalty box.
100%.
I know he played a part in the goal, but it's a shame. I don't like criticizing the team in that, because they brought joy to us for 4 weeks. We was all gripped to the screens. We were all supporting one team. We forgot about Man United, Liverpool, and black and white players and everything. But as soon as that's finished, it's all back to the same old.
One final question regarding this topic before we move on. Obviously, you've been managing the club now for 4 years. You look at leadership, you look at experience. I've always grown up to believe when it comes to a penalty shootout, it should be up to the players to decide. Now, if you was in Gareth Southgate's position last night, and I've actually been looking forward to asking you this question, what's your thought process behind your 5 penalty takers? Are you looking at experience, or are you looking at who can hit a ball cleanly and who's likely to score a penalty?
I think who's got the nerve? I heard something about Jose Mourinho. He said today, where he said they played in the Champions League semi-final against, I think it's Bayern Munich, and his thought for Real Madrid, and his
Yeah.
thought process was, I'm going to get my three best players to take the first three penalties. Ronaldo, Ramos, and Kaká. You would never expect them to miss a penalty. All three of them missed a penalty. So I think, yeah, look, if you can strike a ball, that's a plus. But I think if you can, handle the occasion, like Harry Maguire, no one would have had him in your top five, but he's probably the best penalty out of all of them. Because I think he's got that experience, he's got the bottle. I felt for Sacco, fifth penalty, I think it's probably the most crucial one. Italy's best penalty taker was Jorginho, and he was number 5 for a reason, whereas we put Sacco at number 5. And when I seen it was him, I knew he was going to miss, because just too much pressure, man. The whole nation is expecting, so I felt for him.
Yeah, 19 years old. I didn't agree with him. I wouldn't have wanted him to take a penalty anyway. I think if it comes down to 6, 7, 8, 9, on and on, then yeah, okay, you can say fair enough. But I think you look at, as we mentioned, about leaders and experience. You 100% keep on Jordan Henderson, who's Liverpool's captain. All right, so he's missed a few penalties in the past, but you'd rather have him step up than a 19-year-old kid. Kyle Walker's one of the most experienced players in that team. You keep him on. Raheem Sterling, he's not a kid anymore. He's 26, 27. Jack Grealish has been around for some time. John Stones. You have to look at these players and think this is where you need to step up and sort of not get us over the line, but sort of settle the nerves. And I think that's where Gareth Southgate got it wrong. And look, obviously, Jack Grealish today come out on Twitter and said that he wanted to take one. Apparently, he offered to take one. Who knows? We'll see in the coming days. But listen, good tournament overall. Best player for you throughout the tournament?
Man, put me on the spot there. I don't know, man. That's a good question. Oh, honestly, the player that shocked me the most was Luke Shaw. I thought the reason why he shocked me the most, because he's been slated for years. Slated. You'd laugh at him as a Man United player. I thought he was our best player. Kyle Walker again. I know I'm talking about English players because that's probably the main team that we focused on, but probably Luke Shaw for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, Luke Shaw, I think, had a brilliant tournament. I think we're finally seeing his potential. I remember when he was at Southampton and when Man United brought him, I was thinking, yeah, they're onto a real good player here. And then he's just not really lived up to expectation at Man United. But last season, he's come through with flying colours. And this tournament, some of the assists he's come out with, some of the performances he's put in, and his goal yesterday, I think was definitely one of England's best players. I think throughout the whole tournament, Verratti really impressed me a lot. But Donnarumma for me, and he got player of the tournament last night as well, given by UEFA. He's definitely up there. But for me overall, I would pick Raheem Sterling. I thought he was brilliant throughout this tournament. I think he had a tough season at Manchester City, and it was good to see him finally, live up to expectations at one of these major tournaments. But listen, the future is bright. We now move on to 18 months' time to Qatar, a Winter World Cup. Who knows? Maybe we can go one step better. Next topic, Asif, pre-season. We've been going now for nearly a month. We've had a couple of friendlies, lots of new faces. This is where the spotlight is on you now. The fans are asking the question, is this the year where we finally make history? No, I'm only kidding. No, I don't mean to put all that pressure on you. But what have you made of pre-season so far and the progression and some of the new faces that have come into the club?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I think we've grown on social media quite a lot, which has given us the platform to reach out to a lot more people than we usually do. We've had a ridiculous amount of people interested. Some of our training sessions, we've had close to 30 people. So it's been interesting, it's been exciting, it's been stressful as well, to be honest. Having to put a training session on 30 people, keep 30 people interested, get them coming back next week. We've seen some really good players turn up. We're also doing our knife project as well. So we've got players through that have come along as well that, they'll admit they're not the best of players, but it just gives them something to do. So yeah, we've had a few friendlies. We drew one, and we lost one on Sunday. So yeah, it's been good overall. It's been good. Preseason normally is. It's normally hard work and fun. So it's good balance.
It kind of feels like you're in like a proper press conference now. So, being the manager, I'm not just saying it because obviously older brother, but you've done a very good job. You've taken the club to another level in terms of making the club a well-known name, as you mentioned, the following on social media, Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok as well. You've raised a good following. But what's the targets for this up and coming season? Because first week of September, I believe the new season kicks off. What is it that you want to achieve now? Because you ended the season well last season, second in the league, semi-final of the cup. Where do you see this club going next season, especially with the new faces you brought in?
So we've gone up a division. So it's, the competition, the level of competition is going to be a lot more harder. But I feel like we'll be able to compete. And I hope for a really strong season. Can we push for promotion? Get in the top one or two places. Be a tough ask because there's some really, really good teams in there. I'd like to go on another cup run. Maybe get to a final or something. Yeah, just progression really. We've had some really difficult times where we've been hammered every single week. Last season was probably our best season. I think we're going to add some really quality players to the team this year. We're losing a few, which is a shame, but that's what happens in Sunday League football. So just progression really. Want to see us progress and take the next step.
Let's talk about the knife for life crime thing that you've got going on. First of all, brilliant job that you've done. The following the response it got on social media was crazy. Notifications galore coming through on mobiles. We were constantly glued to our phones, responding to messages, and a massive shout out to everybody that got in contact with us. Talk to us about this event that you've got going on for the community, the town of Luton, and obviously for people outside of Luton that you'd like to see get involved.
Yeah, so we put a post out inviting, basically an open post out to get kids, adults, whatever, to play football with us free of charge. And that was just for like our own pre-season training. And the response we got was a lot of youngsters, their parents got in touch. They were concerned about their kids, about their nephews, their cousins, their brothers. And they wanted something else. So they were happy for them to take part in the training and that, but they wanted, they were worried that after that there was nothing for them to focus on. So we've joined forces with a team in Luton called Luton United, and they've got a fantastic setup where they've got like an adult team, under 16s, 15, 14s, all the way down to under 8s. So what we're doing is we've got a day on the 25th of July, which is only a couple of weeks away, where we're doing a fun session, 2-hour session with qualified coaches. And then the main thing is any kid that comes along, they'll get signed up to a team. So going after that, they'll be part of a club. They'll have training, they'll have matches, they'll be part of a football family. And we're also trying to raise money as well to help those families struggle, to pay for that. £130 it costs a season for each child, and some people find it hard to finance that. So we're raising money. We've raised over £500 so far. Hoping to get a bit more, and yeah, we're just trying to do our bit.
And obviously, with what you're trying to achieve, massive shout out to Luton United as well for getting on board and for the qualified coaches you've got coming down. How positive are you that we can get a lot more of these younger kids involved in grassroots football now? Because it is one of our main aims is to bring back in a lot of these young kids back into grassroots football, and then to give them a club where they'll feel safe and they can progress with their football career.
So, we as in Luton Phoenix, we don't benefit from this in any way. We don't make no money out of this, nothing. This is all off our own back. So this is nothing to do with making money or anything. This is just because we are part of a club and we know what it's like to be part of a club. It's, you know, we call us the Phoenix family because we've created this environment for all of us, and we know how beneficial it is for us. And we want to, you know, with everything that's going on in the community with the knife crime and everything, you know, I know personally that it could help youngsters that need, you know, some positivity in their life. So that's the aim. It's just to help, even if we help one youngster, one kid, we've done, you know, we've done something good. And again, the aim was to try and push this message, but get other, you know, businesses, gyms, boxing clubs, to do the same thing. And I've seen a few people, a few businesses that have done the same thing, where they've offered kids to come and work for them for 2-3 days. So that was always the aim. So, you know, we're not trying to solve this thing. The knife crime is never going to go away, but we're just trying to make a difference. We're trying to do our part. And, you know, you say it's, you know, good what I'm doing, but as a club, we're doing this. Everyone's playing their part. You guys on social media, you know, everyone is. So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I mean, of course, if anybody would like to send a donation, we'll be sharing the link in the description for the donation fund. And obviously, listen, looking forward to it as well. It's brilliant what the idea you've come out with, and massive shout out to all the people that have jumped on board. You know, and hopefully we can make a difference. As you said, knife crime is something that unfortunately isn't going to go away, but with what we're doing, hopefully we can make a difference, and we can help. You know, this can help benefit a young child's future as they go on into their late teens. So hopefully this can help, and hopefully it's a massive success. Just a few small topics before we come to an end. I remember when we first come up with this channel, we said we were going to talk about anything and everything. So 2 topics. Novak Djokovic, 20th Grand Slam. Quick question: greatest tennis player of all time, or do you think he's still slightly off from the likes of the Federers and the Nadals?
He doesn't get the credit, does he? He doesn't get the credit that Federer and Nadal gets, because I think, you know, Djokovic in his prime, Federer was probably coming to the end. You know, he was not to the end, but he was on the decline. But yeah, for me, hands down, man. You know, he's a great character as well. He's a funny guy, and he's just unbelievable, man. Honestly, you never thought you'd see anyone better than Federer and Nadal in our lifetime. But this guy is right there, if not, you know, just about. And he seems to be only getting better as well.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. I know obviously I'd probably get a bit of stick for this, but I kind of feel for like Andy Murray as well, because he's come up in that generation of when Federer and Nadal was so good, and then Djokovic sort of come up at the same time. What an awesome era we've had in tennis. And I remember I was watching the final yesterday, and the guy is just a phenomenal tennis player. And I think personally, I still think he finishes just behind Federer and Nadal, and that is kind of like a harsh thing to say, because as I said, 20 Grand Slam titles, you know, it's an amazing achievement. The only thing he's not won in his career is an Olympic gold medal, and he has the chance to do that in a few weeks' time. And I remember in 2016, you know, Murray won the Olympic gold, but Del Potro knocked him out. That's the only time in my career I've seen Djokovic cry, because that's the only achievement his career lacks right now. So it's going to be interesting to see. Another event that took place on what was an action-packed sports weekend was UFC 264. Conor McGregor lost to Dustin Poirier in the trilogy fight via TKO. Asif, tactically, was Poirier spot on before what happened, or did the TKO? Do you think the TKO was kind of like the get out of jail card for McGregor? Because to me, that fight only seemed to be going one way, and I thought had that fight gone past the first round, I thought Poirier would have stopped him in the second very easily and very quickly. What was your thoughts on UFC 264?
Well, it's all coming out now. You hear from McGregor's camp that apparently he had an injury with his foot leading into the fight. So it is what it is, really. McGregor, for me, I mean, you know, he's still got the power, the pull power, but he's won one fight out of his last 5 or something. So it's not like he's this great elite fighter. He's just a cash cow of UFC. Poirier fought a great fight. Probably would have stopped him in the second round. So, you know, I think with this injury and the outcome, McGregor probably gets to fight another day. You probably see a full fight between these two. So But it was entertaining, man. Honestly, it was even the guys on the floor. He's getting interviewed on the floor, and he's still trying to promote the full fight. So yeah, it's Conor McGregor for you.
Obviously, now everybody will say that Poirier is probably the number one, if not the number one lightweight in that division. But the world champion Charles Oliveira might think differently now. You know, we're not matchmakers, but it's pretty obvious what's going to happen next. I don't see Conor McGregor fighting for at least 6 to 9 months due to the injury. Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier. 1, is that a fight you want to see? 2, if it does happen, who do you see winning that fight?
Well, it's the only fight there is, isn't it? And if if anyone deserves it, it's Poirier. And I can only see one winner. I think Poirier will win the title. Who knows, man? Brother Khabib might decide to make a comeback and just take off him and then retire again.
It'll be interesting to see. Asif, final question for today's episode. Euros are done. What is the number one transfer happens this summer? Which big player do you see making a big money move to a different club?
Well, I see Man United linked with Varane. In fact, they're talking personal terms. So United are doing a bit of business with Sanchez, Sancho, and Varane. I don't know, man. I'm hoping Liverpool will come out with some big transfer, but who knows? Who knows?
My number one transfer I can see happening now that the Euros are over, and the fact that he lost another final. I genuinely now think Harry Kane will go to Manchester City. Now, I said in the build up to the final, I goes, if Harry Kane wins the Euros, I don't think he'll leave Spurs, because there's no bigger. He's won something that many great players have not won, and that's a major international tournament with England. But I think it's difficult now for England to get to another major final, especially if you look at Argentina won Copa America on the weekend. Brazil are only going to get better. France, Belgium, Germany, Spain, Italy, the winners of the Euros. I think it's just going to be difficult for England in 18 months' time. I can see him having a good tournament, but I don't think they'll win the World Cup. But back to my point, I genuinely do believe Harry Kane, for me, his first game this season will be against Spurs, because Man City play Spurs away as well. So I genuinely believe now any day now you're gonna get a £120 million bid coming through. And I know Guardiola was trying to play it cool, and in February, March, he said we don't have the funds to go out and replace Aguero. Yeah, exactly. It's a load of BS. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens throughout the next few weeks. I know Liverpool are back in pre-season as of today, so it's exciting times. But yeah, listen, all we've got time for on episode 4 of The Phoenix Way. Asif, floor's all yours. What message would you like to relate to the viewers about the event that you're doing, and of course, if there's any players out there that are interested to join the club?
Just stay tuned, man. Keep an eye on our social medias. We're quite active. We're always posting stuff on, especially with this event as well. We're always posting updates. Any questions, just drop us a message in the comment section, or send us a message on Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, man, and make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell.
Yep. And a massive shout out to everybody that got involved in our Euros Daily on Twitter and Instagram. 51 games. Asif, 51 games.
You've done well, Pastor. You've done well.
I enjoyed it, but it was enjoyable. But also massive shout out to everybody that voted, on our Instagram and Twitter. It was fun, and look forward to doing it again in 18 months' time. Asif, thank you very much for your time. And as you said to the viewers out there, if they haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, and of course check us out on our social media platforms. And don't forget to send a donation through for our event that we'll be doing in a few weeks' time. And thank you to listen to episode 4 of The Phoenix Way.